Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Today, you're going to be learning about assistive technology, and we have a lot of items that we like to demonstrate to you. And as Heather mentioned in the Zoom chat, if you can't see something that we are demonstrating, as well as everyone in person, just let us know.
To get started, my name's Eric Jones. I'm the Assistive Technology and Testing Accommodations Coordinator here at ECC. Been here about 6 months now.
And I'm Katrina Probst. I'm the Director of ADA and Student Access and Disability Services. So today we're going to be talking about assistive technology used by students with disabilities, but it's used by individuals of any age. Some of the devices that we're showing are focused on the educational setting, but they may use that in an employment setting as well. We're also going to be talking about the growth within our Student Access and Disability Services office, in particular, some expansions that we experienced over the past 6 months. We're going to be demonstrating some really cool technology and everyday uses of that technology, as well as we have some testimonials from students who have been using assistive technology and how has it benefited them. And then Eric will be demonstrating how to use some of the software, like screen reading software that we'll be talking about shortly. And then we'll do a wrap up and a Q&A. So a couple, data points that we wanted to share with everyone. We have been serving many students with a variety of different disabilities and using various assistive technologies. We wanted to highlight the students who are using text-to-speech software, and you'll learn a little bit more about that in a second. In fall of 2021, 4 students were using text-to-speech software to access their assignments. Now, fall of 2024, 19 students were using text-to-speech software to complete their assignments. Dragon software, which we'll learn about shortly, 6 students were using that in fall of 2021, and that number doubled in fall of 2024 to 12 students. And then lastly, extra time, students who need extra time, time and a half on tests and quizzes. In fall of 2021, we had 256 students who were using that accommodation. And then 3 years later, in fall of 2024, 273 students. So our numbers are increasing, which is very exciting. And because of all of the need, the students with disabilities who need our services, we were able to hire some new staff. So Eric joined our Student Access and Disability Services office in August of 2024. Last May, we also were able to hire a second accessibility specialist / student success coach, Katie Simpson, who works alongside Chiquita Hallam. And we were also able to purchase, through a grant, we were able to purchase laptops and iPads with assistive technology to loan out to students. And we started distributing that technology to students last October. And we were very surprised and very delighted with the overwhelming support and interest from students who wanted to use these devices to help them in their educational pursuits here at ECC. And Eric has been training students in using that assistive technology. So I'll hand it over to Eric, and he'll be talking about screen readers.
All right, so to get started, we're going to try the JAWS screen reader with an application to Kurzweil, which is another text-to-speech program. So I'm going to turn JAWS on. It's going to sound kind of robotic, but just bear with it.
JAWS. Blank. JAWS updates available. First wheel application for Sprint 2025-Google Chrome. First wheel application for Sprint 2025-Google Chrome-Eric left parent person 1 right parent. First wheel application for Sprint 2025-Google Chrome-Eric left parent person 1 right parent page. First wheel application for Sprint 2025.
So you'll notice with JAWS reading that it read pretty much everything on the screen. With screen readers, they read address bars, buttons, anything structural to the page, versus like text to speech turns it into like just the how do you word it, like your text from your textbook, any paragraphs, just plain text, no other like functions, buttons, anything like that. So to get started with navigation,
First wheel application for Sprint 2025. Edit this form button to activate. Press enter.
so I'm going to do keyboard navigation also with this. So
Switch account.
you'll
link.
notice that
6514 at student.elgin.edu switch account your email and group. Your email and
follows
group
things you
account
can
are not
select.
part of your response traffic.
So if you tab to the page,
With 9 items. Your full name required. Question edit required. Blank, blank, type in text. Say for Eric. Insert that button. Your ECC ID number required. Question edit required. Blank, type in text.
all right, moving down.
Insert your ECC student email address required. Question edit required. Blank, type in text.
Sorry.
Become.
All right.
Insert that button. Your program will study required. Question edit required. Nursing, type in type. Insert that button. How many semesters have you been taking classes at ECC? Required. Question group required. 1-2 semesters radio button not checked.
So here you can come off the tab button and just use arrow keys.
1-2 semesters. Blank.
Right now I'm pushing the down arrow.
3-4 semesters radio button not checked required. 3-4 semesters. Blank. 5-6 semesters radio 5-6 semesters.
In this case, I think it speaks that you push the space bar to select. So I'll do 5 to 6 semesters.
This is a required question. 5-6 semesters radio button checked.
Now tab to go to the next
Have you
question.
ever used text-to-speech technology before? Required question group required. Yes, radio button not checked. Yes. Blank. No radio button not checked required. No radio button checked. This is a required question. If you
Tabbing
have
down.
used text-to-speech technology before, what was the name of the technology? List with 4 items. First wheel checkbox not checked. To check, press space bar. Checked. Blank. Read and write gold checkbox not checked. Blank. Natural reader checkbox not checked. Blank. Other checkbox not checked. Are you familiar with listening to your books and audio? Required question. Yes. Blank. No radio button not checked required.
Arrow down.
No. Blank. Kinds of radio button not checked required.
Space to select.
Kinds of radio button checked. Why do you want to use Kurzweil? Required question list with 3 items. Help me read my textbooks and articles. Checkbox not checked. To check, press space bar. Help me write my papers. Checkbox not checked. To check, press space bar. This is a required question. Blank.
If you push tab to go to the next question, it'll also alert you. So I'll select
Help me write my papers. Checked.
that one. Next question.
Help me study better. Checkbox. Submit button to activate. Press enter.
So you just push enter like it says to submit it.
Clear form button to activate. Press enter.
Therefore,
Report link.
so
Clear
all
form
kinds of
button to
functions.
activate.
So
Press enter. Clear form dialog. This will remove your answers from all questions and cannot be undone. Cancel button to activate. Press enter. Clear form button. To activate, press enter. Clear form button to activate. Press enter. Kurzweil application for Sprint 2025.
okay, you can push escape to get JAWS to stop speaking. So that's how it is for someone who's totally blind usually. Those are usually the only individuals that use JAWS. because it speaks everything on the page, not just your text. But at the same time, you can also get a feel for the keyboard navigation. So I can turn JAWS off.
With box, JAWS 2020, with JAWS dialog, are you?
So you could also do this completely without a mouse. It just won't speak anymore, but it should follow the keyboard navigation. And if you also push Shift and Tab, it'll go backwards, the focus. I'll just go to the page. It's letting us know these are required questions. And then obviously we shouldn't let you submit. So, but I hope that's a little bit of a lesson on keyboard navigation. You can do it commonly with tab keys and arrow keys. And then to go back and forth, you just push Shift. So we'll go back to the PowerPoint. So like I said, students who are fully blind use these screen readers most commonly. JAWS, it stands for Job Access with Speech. And then there's another one called NVDA, Non-Visual Desktop Access. As mentioned, the screen reader reads everything, on the computer if the content is accessible or compatible. The user navigates the computer using keyboard shortcuts without a mouse or touchpad. And I just did the JAWS demo. So some other everyday uses for screen readers. Not so much reading a screen, but it's announcing like JAWS would something, some elevator announcements, like what floor you're on. The button was pushed. I recently did a conference in Orlando and noticed that at the airport, it was announcing everything, like when the shuttle arrives, that the doors are opening, where to stand. So all of that is good accessible features. And then if you have a phone, we have VoiceOver for iPhone and TalkBack for Android. You can just hold down your phone or the button here and speak. Hey Siri, turn on VoiceOver.
Voiceover gestures. Okay, button. Okay, button. Okay. Okay. Don't allow, button.
And from here you can like,
Don't allow.
hey Siri, what is the weather?
It's currently cloudy and 12 degrees. Temperatures are heading down from 13 to 6 degrees tonight.
Hey Siri, turn off VoiceOver.
Okay. Voiceover is now off.
That was an example of that. I don't have an Android phone with me, or I try that too, but so here's some more on keyboard navigation. So what do you do when your computer mouse is broken? Besides get a different one, you can use keyboard shortcuts, tabbing, arrow key, space, enter, and then some other features like Control S saves it, Control P prints it. I think Control B.
Social folder, 14 apps, 6 new.
Sorry. I think Control B makes something bold in Microsoft Word. Just little things like that help out a lot. So here's a student testimonial. Our student Miriam, she is mostly blind, right? And she gave us a comment on how she uses JAWS. He says, when I cannot see to read, JAWS will read it to me. With JAWS, I can complete my assignments, I can send emails, and I can navigate my laptop. And next is magnification software. So students with low vision, not necessarily fully blind, but low vision, they magnify the computer using various things. There's some built-in features for Windows, like the basic zoom features. There's also specific software like iPal, Supernova, and Zoom Text. Zoom Text is probably the most common that I've seen, and we'll do a demo here now.
One notification, message.
System.
One.
Sorry. Hey Siri, turn off voiceover.
Turn voiceover off.
Hopefully. Back up the page. So now we're doing the Zoom text. I'll use the same application before. This one should go pretty quick. Also has a speaker or screen reader built into it that you can turn on and off.
Zoom text enabled. Zoom text magnifier reader. Zoom level 2.
So here are the
Zoom
menus.
text updates available now. Zoom text magnifier reader. Zoom level 2.
The main menu for Zoom text here, you can increase the zoom naturally.
2.25, 2.2.75, 3, 3.54.
And notice how it's making active effort not to make it blurry as you get closer and closer.
3.5, 3, 2.2.
So you can, what you do is go around the screen here is you just kind of move your mouse a bit. So everything is zoomed in really far. And turn off the reader.
3 quick access
Need to.
bar. Voice chat disabled. Voice disabled.
Lots of other settings. You can magnify here. That's the basic settings. Magnification tab, the reader tab. You can change the keyboard. Mouse, instant hover, no echo, verbosity, low, medium, or high. Other tools, to let you do a lot of stuff. Record things, a background reader, voice assistant. But primarily people use it to make the screen bigger.
Hey, Eric, on the Zoom, we can only see your the survey right now.
Okay, oops.
Oh, you know what? I think I know why. Because Zoom controls don't show on Zoom meetings. I learned that during the pandemic. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I think that was all needed anyway. So we got that zoomed up and then zoomed back out when you close it. It kind of like the screen flashes so that it resets itself. There was that. We'll go back to the PowerPoint. So next is CCTV. This is a lot less mobile. It's pretty stationary. So it's like a giant computer TV screen and then has a magnifier underneath it and some lighting. So it kind of blows things up. I've seen these commonly at like libraries, reading like old newspapers and things like that. But it can also be used for visual impairments. So for magnification software, everyday uses, if you can't see the small print of an item, does anybody take a picture of the item and enlarge it on their phone? And then also, if you're reading an email on your phone, do you pinch your screen to enlarge the text? If so, all of that counts as zoom and magnification features for accessibility. So now we're at text to speech. I'll give it over to Katrina.
Thanks, Eric. So I'll be sharing about text-to-speech software, and as Eric had mentioned, text-to-speech software is similar to the screen reading software, but it is different. The text-to-speech software is generally used by students who experience learning disabilities, ADHD, physical disabilities, and various other disabilities. And they're able to listen to the text, the paragraphs, and other important content, but it won't read the dialog boxes, address bars, or buttons like the screen reading software does. So two of the software that we have, one is Kurzweil, and then the other one is Read Speaker, aka the listen button on D2L. If you're on D2L, in many sections, you'll see that listen button, and students as well as faculty can click on that if they want to listen to any of their content. So I'll be showing two videos to demonstrate the features of Kurzweil as well as Read Speaker. So this
Read
one
is the
is
commonly used feature.
Kurzweil.
This is where you can upload a document like an academic journal. Once the file is uploaded, you can resave the document as a Kurzweil file, .kes. The document's audio will also be saved. Now you'll be able to play back the audio and access the functions of the left toolbar. To play back the audio, simply click to where you would like to begin reading and press play.
Trajectory of the falling Batman.
You can also change the audio options, like the voice and the speed that fits your needs.
The film Batman Begins shows the character of Batman gliding using a rigid form of his cape.
You can also export your document as an audio file and listen to it on the go.
Batman.
Using the left toolbar, you can highlight, add sticky notes, footnotes, use a dictionary, and even find images of words you do not understand. The right function allows you to create documents and brainstorm using mind maps to help organize your thoughts. Scan allows you to scan documents and OCR code them. OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. This just means that your scanned documents will have recognizable text that you can highlight, copy, and play back.
This is an example of a non-text searchable PDF.
The Kurzweil 3000 Google Chrome extension can be used to read websites. Simply go to a website and press play. If you would like more specific information on training on Kurzweil
Pause the
3000,
video. So that's an overview of Kurzweil software that we can give licenses away to students, and it will be free for them to access. The next video is showing Read Speaker, which is built into D2L.
Want to get more out of your learning? If so, then you want to use the Read Speaker suite of learning tools. You can listen to lessons, documents, quizzes, assignments, and more. Let's listen to part of this lesson.
Each person has different learning preferences.
Reduce screen burnout and increase focus by using tools like a page mask, enlarge text, text mode, changing voices, a reading ruler, highlighting, and more. Which tool wins? If you have a listen button, then use it. If not, look for the Open with Dot Reader button. It's easy to see how this will help you become more engaged with your course. You will want to try these tools out.
So we're very excited that we have this tool embedded within D2L for students to access, as well as faculty. And it's a universal design for learning tool because anyone can access it, not just our students with disabilities. So individuals who are auditory learners, individuals who English isn't their first language. So a variety of people can benefit from these features within D2L.
Want to get more out of your learning? If so, then you
So what are some everyday uses of text to speech? Oh, Josh?
I just had a question. You mentioned that students could get the licenses from your office for Kurzweil. Do they need to have accommodations on file with you to get that license, since this is something that is universal design that may be beneficial to all students? Or is it something, the license is only available to students that are receiving services through your office?
Great question, Josh. So you're asking about whether or not the Kurzweil software is just assigned to students who are registered with our Student Access and Disability Services Office, or just the general population of students. So the Kurzweil licenses are for our students with disabilities who are registered with our office. But if you are working with a student and the student is mentioning to you in the tutoring center or in the classroom, saying, I'm really struggling to read all of my documents. I used to have someone read those documents to me, or I usually get audiobooks from the library, or is explaining other challenges, definitely refer them over to our office, and we can talk with the student about what accommodations a student may or may not be eligible for, which may include Kurzweil. And we can also, Eric can also, if the student isn't eligible for accommodations based on a disability, Eric could also meet with the student to share some of the tools within D2L, the Read Speaker tool. So, a lot of tools are at our fingertips, which is very exciting and cool. So some everyday uses of text-to-speech software. So many of us are we want to listen to our text message right aloud, especially when we're driving. We can't be, flipping through the text messages on our phone while we're driving. So you might enable that feature to listen to the text messages. Some people, they're auditory learners, they like listening to news articles while they're driving or listening to emails. And also your GPS, back in the day, we'd use maps or we'd have to print out MapQuest directions. And now we have the capability of being able to listen to the GPS dictate those directions to us. So some, great benefits of using text to speech in our everyday lives. So one of our students, she commented on her use of Kurzweil software. And so she said, if it weren't for Kurzweil, I wouldn't have made it. Kurzweil helped me read my books. Due to my vision, I get migraines when I read paper books. With Kurzweil, I can listen to the book, make bookmarks, and speed up or slow down the voice. I love using it. And that's Ann Alverio, one of our students. So these are stories that we love hearing when we're providing technology to students and it's helping them to succeed. I'll hand it over to Eric as he talks about speech recognition software.
All right, so speech recognition software. We currently there's a wide selection out there, but we currently here at ECC are using Dragon. Naturally speaking, it's been around for a good minute. And we also have listed Kurzweil here because there's one feature of Kurzweil that has requires our microphone, so you can dictate into the computer, and it types out what you're saying. Question, who uses Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, or Cortana to dictate into your devices? Pretty common. And so we have a student here, Miriam, again, for speech recognition. She says, I use VoiceOver on my iPhone and a text-to-speech keyboard for texting. I use Siri on my iPhone. I also have a money reader, and it will tell me the bill. I also have a reading machine, and it takes a picture of the document, and it will read it to me as well. It's very helpful. Siri will spell it out for me. I can ask anything, even how's the weather outside. Siri will say, the weather is sunny today. Okay, I can get information faster. Siri will say, save it for me, and it makes it easier. And that's from Miriam again. Another student of ours who's using Dragon, she said, this semester I've been using Dragon for Human Geo with discussion short answers. Once it gets trained for your voice, it works pretty good. I can see buying this program and putting it on my home machines and using it for work stuff. It's helping me get through my class. Another thing Dragon Speak can do is be a verbal note and list/bullet maker. So that is helpful. She said, I think I'll need this program more and more in dealing with a master's program and beyond. Lots of writing to do. And so we have alternative input software now. I'll pass that over to Katrina.
Thanks, Eric. So we have a couple of different examples of alternative input software. So it's generally used by individuals who experience physical disabilities and are not able to access a standard keyboard. So some of our students, they may use eye tracking software. And last year at TGCC, one of our students was demonstrating how he used the eye tracking software. So you can view that video of the TGCC workshop last year. The eye tracking software, he has an iPad and his eyes gaze at the iPad keyboard or different letters, and he's able to, if he's gazing long enough, it'll click on that letter of the keyboard and he'll be able to compose his sentences, compose his email, his writing assignment, or whatever he's trying to write. Another software very similar, Apple Eye Tracker, and then a head pointer. So in the picture on this slide, it's showing an individual who has a pointing device that's attached with a headband to his head, and he is able to touch the iPad with that pointing device to select different keys on his iPad. So I'll hand it over to Eric as we'll talk about some of the handheld devices, and we'll be taking some of these devices and showing them in front of our camera. So just let us know if you're not able to see any of the devices we're demonstrating.
All right, so here are handheld devices. We brought a small list with us. So we brought a talking calculator. And to demonstrate this, here's what it looks like. You'll turn it on. And then it'll speak the numbers you enter and the answer afterwards. So I'll do 45 times 6.
5 times 6 equal 270.
Let's clear that.
7 zeros divided by 1 0 equal 8.
So simple math, but it gets the job done. It demonstrates that this can be super helpful for people who aren't able to see their calculator buttons as well or know exactly what they're pushing. So there's that. Next, we have a large print keyboard. So this one's pretty self-explanatory. The keys are just enlarged. The letters and numbers on the keyboard are enlarged. And this makes it easier to see if you have low vision.
And there's also a keyboard that has yellow keys with black letters. So depending on what the individual's vision loss is like, some students might prefer one contrast color over another.
And next we have tactile materials using our key-off machine. So this machine heats up the material, or we write on it with a marker, and then we put the paper with the marker writing into the machine, and it heats it up and lifts the marker. Whatever the material is made of in the marker just raises up so that it becomes tactile. So here we have a nerve ending, and you might not be able to see it. Maybe you can tilt it a bit. It has a little bit of an elevation to it, so you can feel what this looks like. If you were low vision or completely blind, you can definitely feel out like what the cell or the nerve tissue feels like, so you can get through maybe your bio class or something like that. We also have some similar ones for math, so graphing. If you aren't able to see, this helps a lot with figuring out graphing 2 points on a line, graphing curves, whatever the equation calls for. This should be able to pull it off. And then just a different one. This might have been a practice sheet, but it feels really neat. It's very interesting. Next, we have more tactile materials. So we have pictures here of different biology subjects like nervous tissue, muscle tissue, connective tissue. Not sure if you can see very well. These are fairly pink and some more orange. And the reason I show you these is because we have these lithophanes that were produced by the art department, you said? And they worked with the biology department. It was Dana
Yeah.
Kirpius. So I don't know if you can see this very well. It's very raised. It has some braille on the top. It says hyaline cartilage connective tissue, and what it looks like here, and the students are able to feel it out too to get an idea of what that looks like. sorry. Here we have nervous tissue. It's got a little bit more color mixture. Again, the braille and filling out what the tissue would feel like. And another for skeletal muscle tissue. Students can feel the braille and what it might feel like visually. And then lastly, loose fibrous connective tissue. So we think these are pretty cool, super helpful. All right, so we have some testimonial about the talking calculator. So this came up this semester. Miriam started using it because she's juggling a few different things in her class, her computer, her recorder, recording the lecture, and she also has to have a separate device to do calculations with. She says the talking calculator is very nice. I can do my math assignments, I can do multiplication and add the numbers. So she enjoys that pretty well.
And we also have more advanced talking calculators, so they even have a scientific calculator and a graphing calculator, the TI-83, TI-84, TI-86 calculators that are in a talking format.
Here's an image of the muscle tissue and stuff on the board originally. And then, so next we'll move to digital recording devices. So students with various disabilities, vision, learning, psychological, ADHD, thank you, autism, etc., may use voice recorders. So here we have our basic one that we let all of our students borrow if they need to. You can turn it on the side here. It says welcome. And then you immediately see the menu. There's different folders, recorder. So I can record now to demonstrate it. And to do that, you'll flip the switch up. It says, please wait. Testing this recording for Teach ECC to demonstrate a digital voice recorder. Stop the recording and it says saved. And you can play it back. Testing this recording for Teach ECC to demonstrate a digital voice recorder. Not sure if you guys could hear that, but that it spoke it out loud. And then from there, you can take the files, put them in the folders. You can organize them on a computer, fully uploadable audio files to any laptop, any desktop. You can even put them into links for like a Google Sheets. That way you can, listen to it in your car or something. You can also, if the adapters allow, if you have one, you can connect this to your car also and play straight out of this device. So a lot of our students have been asking if they can do that on their way to class, if they can listen to their notes. And so they use this a lot. This is very popular. Another testimonial on the digital recorder. Audio recorder benefits has been a tremendous help for me, especially for the person who has ADHD. I can always go back and listen again if I did not understand some parts of what the instructor was talking about during the class lecture, and to some part that I missed from what I had been mentioned during class time. And that was Angela.
So next we'll be talking about different amplification devices. So the first one is assistive listening device. It's what the student who is hard of hearing could provide the microphone, which I have in my hand. So I could hand it over to Eric and he could clip it onto his shirt so that I could listen to it. Listen to what he's saying, so I could sit in the classroom and be able to hear what he's saying. And then I can adjust the volume. So it's like a personal microphone, and it can really help some of our students who are hard of hearing. So one of our students, Victor Graciano, he said, I would prefer to have my hearing aids, but this assistive listening device is the next best thing. I am grateful to have this technology. I am able to hear more clearly, especially with long distance. I can give the microphone to the speaker who is standing far away, and I can hear the speaker better. And the next technology, this is newer technology, is our captioning equipment. So in spring of 2020, January of 2020, I was working with a student who was deaf and needed captioning. And it was before COVID started, so we were exploring all the different options to set up captioning. Now, since COVID, since COVID, when we have expansion of different remote technology, the captioning services has really boomed. So how do we use the remote captioning? So the student who is deaf or hard of hearing would give a microphone to the instructor. So again, the instructor would need a clip on the microphone on the instructor's shirt. And then the student would connect another device, a receiver, to the student's laptop. And then the student could also use another microphone to place in, maybe the student is working in a small group for a small group discussion. The student could place that microphone in that small group to hear what the other students are saying. Then the student logs into an online meeting site. And the human captionist who is working elsewhere would be listening to what's being said and is typing everything that is being said in real time. So the student has the ability to receive captions that are 99% accurate. The captionist can type over 200 words per minute. So the captionist is usually trained as a court reporter, stenographer, and uses a stenograph machine and can type incredibly fast. So this is providing access to our students in the classroom.
So, some new technology on the horizon. I'm going to start with UJA's alternative format features for students. So to learn more about UJA, attend this Teach ECC workshop, Universal Design Simplified with UJA Panorama. This will be Thursday, February 20th, from 10 to 11 in F125 or via Zoom. Register in eTalent.
It's an E101 now. That was switched this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So E100.01. And Kyle Allman and Ryan Karp will be our presenters.
So possibilities are endless. All right, so our summary for this presentation. So overall, there are many different kinds of assistive technology and many ways to utilize them. When it comes to assistive technology, we love the phrase essential for some, useful for all. I think that's a strong message. We hope to continue to expand our knowledge and collection of assistive technology here at ECC. Do you have any questions?
I think a couple I can start with. So one is with the individual devices like the talking calculator and digital voice recorder. Would you share sort of how students check them out? Like, is it on a semester by semester basis? Are students allowed to take some devices home with them? There are certain devices that stay just within your all's office. I imagine it depends a little on probably the device itself.
Yeah, I think it depends. So we use AIM and we have manage our equipment in there. And when a student checks it out, we just, fill out the form and then push submit, and it sends them an email receipt for it and then the date that it's had to be returned. But they have it for the entire semester. They can take it home. I haven't had an issue yet with something being immobile, so they have to use it while they're there, but I'm sure it's a possibility.
Great question. What are other questions, Ray?
I don't know if you will be the one who answered this one, but since I have a lot of students as English as a second language, and because of the read speaker in B2L, that they were able to click it during the exam and read them the exam question. Now, they don't have a special accommodation, but a lot of them are asking if ECC will be able to update the computer rooms to have, individual headphones so that they can use this one, even though they don't have a special accommodation. Because since D2L is updated with regards to this assistive technology, a lot of students are really, who are clicking the one that reads it to them.
Mhm.
And mostly my exam are reshuffled, and if they will do that, the other student will be disturbed in the class. So they are asking if they can bring their own headphone, or ECC is planning to put headphones in the computer lab.
So great question. So you're asking about some of your students who English isn't their first language. They enjoy using the listen button when they're taking a test or quiz at home. And they're wondering if they can bring their own headset to use with, when taking a test, if they're taking it in person in the computer lab.
Yes.
I'm not sure if all the computers on campus in the computer labs or in the library, if they have that audio capability. Okay, so it's not like IT disables the audio on the computers in a computer lab. So I think, if you're opening it up to all students, I think that's a universal design approach, so students can bring
There's
their,
no rule that I will be like saying, okay, you can bring in, I will not be making rules. Like, for example, the use of personal, because some of them have like wireless, or, my concern is like, maybe they're also listening to another, like, it will be about cheating,
gotcha.
when it comes to that
Mhm.
one, rather than given by, the college.
Mhm. So, I understand what you're saying now. So you're concerned about security of the test. If the student was listening to, let's say, a recording of the lecture and getting answers on the test. If you're using lockdown browser, and as long as the student isn't using Bluetooth connected
Mhm.
headset and is physically plugging in the headset into the computer, just a standard headset, I don't believe the student could be listening to anything else, but, our D2L folks, Kyle, if you'd like to chime in.
I'm not the
or-
lockdown browser expert, but I would say that I think that instructors are aware that that feature exists. So I would think that there would be things that they're doing to prevent that if that is necessarily the case. That there's a new tool that we're talking about tomorrow for YouTube Panorama, and they have the ability to turn it off. So if it is an issue, that feature would be turned off, but if
Is
it's
that
there.
already off, or we need to turn it off?
So it's on in that test, is that what you're?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say that if it's on, then that instructor would probably be aware that that feature is
Mhm.
on and enabled, then it wouldn't be an issue.
I would share that with most all departments at the college, like questions of academic integrity in terms of like, setting up what's needed to maintain academic integrity here is usually always going to be set by the instructor rather than sort of a cross ECC policy. And so if there's particular concerns you have, Ray, it'd be probably up to you as the instructor to think about, I would like to allow use of headphones for this exam. I'm very likely it's to be up to you. I would say talk to your director, particularly in health professions, if there's any kind of questions about that. But for the most part, there's very few cases in the college in which, hey, across a department or across ECC, there's some sort of like blanket academic integrity policy. I think with allowing students to use headphones, I guess your suggestion, Ray, asking, are there any available on campus? That'd be a good question for the library as well. And I would share, like, if you are going to allow the use of headphones and use a computer lab and allow students to bring them in, it would be a good idea probably a week ahead of time to see, hey, do we have any extra sets of the college you could have in case somebody really benefits from that, but doesn't have their own personal pair they can bring out. And so it shouldn't be resources that you should not go out and buy headphones for students, like get that college paid for those things. Yeah.
I'm sure IT still has a ton left over too. When they first prepared for COVID, they bought so many headphones for every employee to have some on campus that I think there's still a stock somewhere.
Yes, that's a great point.
And one thing, especially in the nursing program, when students need to take different licensure exams, if the student was using the built-in listen button on D2L for the test here, if the student isn't approved for an accommodation based on a disability, the student wouldn't be allowed to use any type of text-to-speech software on a licensure exam through a third party. So just for the student to be aware of when pursuing future licensures. Great questions, and thanks for chiming into the discussion.
I have one really broad question too. This may be a tough one to answer, but like in thinking about this presentation, I'm curious how different this session would have looked 5 years ago than it does now. And so the sort of broad question is like, how much and how often are these technologies changing on a regular basis? Like all the things you've shared seem, oh, this is really innovative, this is interesting. On your last slide as well, you kind of gestured to, oh, the possibilities are pretty open. And so would you say that within the next like 5 years, 10 years, this will look pretty different in terms of what assistive technologies are available? I mean, it's a tough question to ask you to speculate on things, but I'm curious.
I really think so. Just based in like my learning about assistive technology, just picturing stuff from the 90s or 2000s compared to now, it's a big jump. So I imagine it will get a lot better in the future too.
And some of the technology has been around for 50, 60 years, but it's just more advanced. Like for instance, the personal listening device has been around since the 70s at least, but the technology is better. It can, you can, you adjust different sounds in different ways. So it's not just pressing the volume button. Some of these devices you can adjust how different high pitch sounds and low pitch sounds are being picked up. And some of these devices or, you know, like these little things, they might be newer technology with the 3D printers. So, and it's opening up doors for some of our students who maybe 50, 60 years ago, they wouldn't have been able to access a college education, but now with all of the tools at our disposal, JAWS, Zoom text, all of this newer technology and software, now they're able to access college materials.
They also, I'm surprised and shocked at how much like the cell phones, Apple iPhones and Androids have evolved with accessibility. So yeah, it's coming standard. So a lot of it's like you have a phone that a lot of this is already free for you, so they might not need to use our stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, that gets gray at some point, but they definitely have a lot more access at their fingertips than they used to.
And I would say too, it's more accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Than it used to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like even with captions, for example, on Zoom, it used to be like 90-ish% accurate, now it's like 97% accurate. With voice recognition and like Google even, I guess because so many more people use the speech to text and the software is getting more accurate to different accents and like inflections and words.
Yeah.
To make it more accessible.
Okay.
So here's our link to our webpage for resources and our contact information.
So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. So our general contact information is, for our phone number is 847-214-7717. Our email is SDS, S as in Sam, D as in David, S as in Sam @elgin.edu. And then our webpage is www.elgin.edu/ADA. So feel free to check out different resources and reach out to us if you have any questions later on.